Well, yeah. I mean, you said no Christian believes that God is a male, and I don't. That's not the experience.
Not the experience that you have,
right? Like I believe you that's not how it's seen by the church fathers, or that's not how it's seen in in the nuanced, sophisticated version of orthodoxy, let's see, or the Orthodox Church. But I think that is precisely what a lot of evangelical Christians think. And there's there's a certain dogmaticness and oppressiveness to the way the hierarchy of male and female is presented. And it's interesting because I would say that, like, I grew up in a feminist subculture, and I one of my first breaks with the sort of, I guess, mainstream liberal worldview was like, no, men and women are different. Like, you're never going to erase that. You're never going to achieve this equality. I remember I was a cultural anthropology student, and it was everything is socially constructed. Everything is socially constructed, right? And then I took a sociobiology class, and they showed all these overlapping curves of male and female behavior. And then they talked about the etiology of them developmentally. And at the time I was coaching gymnastics, and I had been just coaching boys.
Yeah.
Right. So literally, like, the first time that I ever coached gymnastics, I went in there and I had 2 ADHD boys in the class, and they were literally running up the walls. Like, this was before I'd experienced parkour. I didn't realize that running up walls was actually a thing that physically happened.
Mm-hmm.
These little boys were running up the walls. So then I get invited over to coach the girls. People like me as a coach, and they think, okay, well, we need more girls classes covered than boys. So he's doing good with the boys. Let's put him with the girls. So I have like 6 to 8 year old boys, right? And they're just the most unmanageable creatures that you've ever experienced.
Yeah.
And I go over and coach a girls class, and I have all these 6 to 9 year old girls line up and quietly wait for their turn.
Yeah.
Without flicking boogers at each other, without pushing each other, without wrestling in line.
Yeah.
Without yelling at me. And I was like, oh my God, these angels, like, what is going on? It was just a completely different experience. And then at the time, my older brother had a 2-year-old. And so he has a party, a bunch of girls, a bunch of little boys. All the parents are hippies, right? They're all, perfectly happy to have their sons play with dolls and wear dresses. Like, none of that matters. And so he gets a bunch of stuffies and a bunch of toy trucks. These 2-year-olds just completely segregate. On one side of the room, there's a bunch of girls playing with stuffies. On the other side of the room, there's a bunch of boys playing with trucks. It was just like, of course, this is so huge. And so I've spent a lot of my life trying to be like, you're not going to create a reality in which men and women work well together, and in which both people are sort of both sexes are optimal in their well-being, by trying to erase the differences, or trying to pretend they don't exist, or trying to demonize one side or aspects of it. I feel like
exactly. Yeah, that's what happens when they try to equalize, is that they end up demonizing some aspects of one and the other.
Of both. That's what I think is really weird, is that masculinity is viewed as pathological when expressed by boys, and femininity is viewed as pathological when expressed by girls.
So now you know what Antichrist is. Like, that's what Antichrist is. It's that equality doesn't exist. It leads to reversal. It leads to upside down. So like you said, if you in a movie, like if you want to show somebody who's compassionate and kind, you'll show a man who's taking on feminine characteristics. And if you want to show masculine characteristics, you'll use a woman. And it's like, it's insane. But it shows you, it's like, it also reveals. That's why I talk about the Return of the King, because it ultimately secretly is revealing that these patterns are real. Even if you show them upside down, you're always calling to their true manifestation.
How many times have you heard a woman say, "I'm not a girly girl"?
Yeah, and too many times in my life that you can.
And I started, like, there's a point at which I was like, well, why wouldn't you want to be as a woman? What's your problem?
You hate femininity, basically,
right? And I've had that conversation a few times, and like women look at me like, oh, Jesus.
That's when you realize that a lot of feminism is actually fetishization of masculinity. It's a love of masculinity.
The only way that they can see agency and power is when it's expressed in a masculine way.
Yeah.